And what we're going to talk about today is sunscreen. And given that it's June and it's sunny out, and that's pretty funny, it's sunny out, we start to need to be using, a safer sunscreen. In fact, in my case, I'm out every day in the garden and I'm actually browning, probably burning is more like it, and hurting my skin. So Kathy, you do a sunscreen cheat sheet every year. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, originally I started doing the sunscreen cheat sheet because I was looking for a safer sunscreen for my son, and the more I read about sunscreens and some of the damaging chemicals that are in the mainstream sunscreens, I just started, finding out more information and compiled a list of sunscreens that I felt were safer. And as the year goes on, every year goes on, new products come in the market and more news comes out about different ingredients. So the cheat sheet is now an annual event, and I enjoy. And there's Karen.
Yay, Karen!
We got her back.
Once you started, it kicked me out. I don't know why.
I think it's because you were on that screen share. That's probably why. But Kathy's explaining right now, Karen, about why she's doing this. She does the cheat sheet.
Oh, good.
So so as I found more and more sunscreens, the list just got longer and longer, and people had more questions for me about, what will work for different skin types and, this and that, and finding out more about nanoparticles and micronization and vitamin A and broad spectrum. So a lot of research went into it, and I felt it was just important for me to share it with everybody else who thinks like-minded.
When you create this cheat sheet, there's certain ingredients that, you're okay with, and there's certain ones that you aren't. Give us the ones that you really hate the most, like the ones that are just like that red flag goes up and you're like, off the island.
Well, basically, I kind of look at it the same way as I look at skincare products, because they use a lot of the same ingredients. So, of course, the red flags for me are kind of similar to anything like body lotions and, bubble bath and stuff like that for kids. So parabens, obviously, phthalates are no-no. Anything that looks really kind of like, if it's really long and you can't pronounce it, it doesn't really sit well with me, because some of those things are just too many question marks around it, and there are so many great natural products to choose from. So things like that I definitely avoid. PEGs I don't include. Propylene glycol, phenyloxyethanol is another one that I've added to the list that I don't accept in the sunscreens, which is a new kind of preservative that companies are using to eliminate the paraben aspect, because more people are now learning about those things. So of course, all those basics, which I avoid in the skincare, I also avoid in the sunscreens. And the big one now for the sunscreen is Oxybenzone, which the Environmental Working Group will also agree with me on that one, is the one that is kind of scary. It's an endocrine disruptor, and that's the one that you really want to avoid most of all. I mean, I try to avoid all the chemical sunscreens in general, but that's the big one for me.
And when for someone who's coming on and they really don't know what parabens are, they don't really know what PEG does or any of that stuff, give us just a brief discussion of why are we concerned about these chemicals?
I mean, I have a whole glossary on the site. If they visit the site, there's a glossary that explains what a lot of these chemicals are and what they do. I mean, I could go through all of them, but it will take us forever. But basically, a lot of these chemicals and preservatives, most specifically in products, are hormone disruptors, which for kids I don't feel is, the research is showing that it's causing a lot of health problems for people. And I think with all the products that we use on ourselves in general, I mean, especially stuff that you're slathering all over your skin every day, those are important to avoid, especially for kids who are developing at such a faster rate than adults are.
So let's talk about you also have a section on micronized versus nano, because nano's gotten a lot of press lately, and tell us why that is.
Well, basically, the nanoparticle is so small that essentially it can pass through the skin barriers more easily and be absorbed into your bloodstream, which obviously, they do it because they're trying to avoid this whiteness that is associated with a lot of the natural sunscreens. And the chemical sunscreens are also, are a small particle too, which is why they do what they do. They absorb into the skin easier. But there's talk of, cell damage and things like that people definitely want to avoid with the nano. Micronized now is it's okay in my eyes because the particle size is not small enough to pass through the skin barrier. So that is okay with me, and is used in a lot of the natural sunscreens. The zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are all usually micronized. But as long as I go through and verify that all of the particle sizes it has to be greater than 100 nanometers. I forget what the NM stands for, but it has to be greater than 100. And if they say it's greater than 100, then it's micronized and not nano.
So Kathy, does that mean if it's nano and it passes through the bloodstream, through the skin, what happens?
It can generate free radicals. It can cause cell damage. There's some studies that have come out that are disturbing as far as they're being tested on animals developing cancers and things like that. So I just don't think it's a safe. I mean, when there's safer options, I don't think. When I hear things like that, I just think avoid it, because why would you risk it?
Even if the ingredients are safe ingredients, you don't want them to be in nano form?
Well, the nano is mostly associated with the sunscreen ingredient, which is usually zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, or in the case of mainstream ingredients, it's the chemicals it's all nano. So it's passing through the skin, absorbing into deeper layers of your skin than you really want it to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what about vitamin A? I see that's also something you mentioned.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I think it was in 2010 or 11, the Environmental Working Group did some studies that showed that vitamin A, it sped up the growth of skin lesions and tumors in lab mice, especially when it was mixed with a certain other ingredient, which I can't recall what it was at the time, but the Environmental Working Group, I think if you search their site for vitamin A, you can find their whole study, had revealed that it was in a lot of sunscreens, and when exposed with the sun, it was causing some issues. So a lot of the sunscreens have now formulated that out of their sunscreens, and it's not really that much of a problem anymore, but I do check to make sure that nobody has that in it.
So in addition to the chemicals that you don't want in the sunscreens,
Mm-hmm.
how do you also evaluate the UVA, UVB ray protection?
Mm-hmm. I don't have like a scientific method for that. In fact, I lean more on what the Environmental Working Group does on their studies of what's good and excellent. So I link to all of their ratings that's one of the reasons. Zinc oxide and titanium dioxide both have UVA and UVB broad spectrum protection, which is okay with me. I don't know the science behind all of it, so I rely more on the Environmental Working Group for that. They did some deeper, obviously, research. They have a whole team of scientists that do that. So if you can cross-reference the natural sunscreens with their UVA and UVB ratings.
So why not just use the the EWG ratings? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of cross-referencing. Why did you go the step beyond?
Well, I do respect their work, and I think that they do a lot of great things, and I appreciate all of the time and stuff that they put into their report. I just don't agree with everything that they recommend. Simply because their rating system is different from how I look at things. I mean, obviously, I don't have every single sunscreen in the entire world on my cheat sheet. They have pretty much every sunscreen in theirs, and their rating system is more based on an ingredient rating average. So, for example, a product might have 10 very safe, low-rated ingredients, and then one ingredient that's rated a 7. So if you have all 1s plus the 7, the average is obviously going to be a lot lower, and that product is going to be rated lower. But for me, that ingredient that's rated a 7 doesn't make my list. All the ingredients have to be safe for it to be on my list, or at least safe enough. I mean, if it's a 7, it's a no. But in the case of the Environmental Working Group, they're basing their selections on the average rating. So it's a good place to start. I mean, if you look through their best sunscreen list, I mean, there are some good products on there, and a lot of them are stuff that I have on my list as well. But there's one or two mixed in once in a while that are not up to my standards. So you have to kind of use as many tools as you can to find the best product. I feel that the ones that I've chosen are the safest as compared to what you can find on the mainstream shelves. So I guess that's why ours is different.
Let's take a look at the list. Karen, can you put it up on the screen?
I hope there's no spelling errors.
This may not work. Hold on, let me see. I'm going to put up.
It's up there.
Can you scroll down?
It's up there.
Can you scroll down?
Let me scroll down.
Like so we can start seeing the actual how she does her ratings.
Let me know when to stop.
Okay. Oh, you mean you can't see this? I'm just joking.
I see your face.
Oh, well, that's something nice to look at. No comment, Karen.
She's so humble.
I know.
Right, tell me when to stop.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Kathy, what Karen's
here are all the ingredients that she's
scrolling through all the stuff that I kind of talked about. I keep this information up there so people kind of understand why I chose.
But before we start talking about the actual sunscreens, Kathy, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, using sunscreen is not your it's not your go-to method of not getting a sunburn. Obviously, what would your what do you do? Like, I know you go out, you train, you're outdoors all the time. Like, what would you do, and what would you recommend to your kids to do in order for anyone not to get sunburn?
Basically, sunscreen is kind of the last resort, if you will. If I'm out training on my my bike back there, and obviously my arms and legs are going to be exposed to the elements, so I'm going to have to use sunscreen. I can't be covered head to toe in clothing when I'm riding because I'll overheat and pass out. So there's always going to be a situation where you're going to need some sunscreen. You're at a barbecue and the kids are running around for a couple hours, and you want them to be protected. Maybe they're not under the umbrella the whole time, things like that. So you're going to always need a sunscreen for something in the summertime, especially with all the outdoor activities that are going on. You're at the pool, you're at the barbecue, you're at the playground, you're outside. So there are other ways. If you're going to be at the beach all day, obviously I bring umbrellas, I wear a big hat. I always have sunglasses on when I'm outside. I try to stay in the shade when I possibly can. I'm freckly and fair, so I'm prone to skin cancer, and I've had I go and get checked every year like a good girl, but inevitably people are going to be prone to things like that. So you try your best to stay protected. On the kids, maybe you want to try some UPF clothing, whatever you can do to keep them protected as much as possible. But you're going to need a sunscreen at some point.
And how often do you have to put on your sunscreen? Let's say you're outside, and talk about the different SPF and how often you should reapply.
I would always choose. Most of the natural sunscreens, I think there's not any on here that are less than SPF 30, and SPF 30 is probably what I would recommend at the minimum. They say SPF 15 is the minimum, but I wouldn't bother with it. I would just go right to the SPF 30. Most of the natural sunscreens that are on the market and the ones that are on my list are all that or higher. There are some that are SPF 50, but I don't think the percentage of coverage or safety is any higher with the SPF 50. You're still going to have to reapply. All sunscreens have recommended reapplication directions. It's usually after 80 minutes of activity. You want to make sure you keep reapplying. I think a lot of people, I get emails from people saying, like, I tried the best sunscreen on your list and we got burned. And I have to wonder, like, how often do you reapplying? Because you really have to stay on top of it for it to be effective.
And do you have to apply on dry skin?
That helps because it's adhering to your skin better. Obviously, if you ever tried to put sunscreen on a wet kid or on yourself after you've gotten out of the pool, it doesn't. Yeah, it kind of slips right off. So you want to towel off first and put it back on. You do the best you can. Obviously, and I have read a few things saying that more is better. People tend to not use enough sunscreen. You should probably use at least a shot glass full worth on your body, if not more, when you're covering up, your arms and legs and your face. And anything that's exposed to the sun more directly, more is definitely better. But definitely the reapplication is going to be key. If you apply once in the morning and then 3 hours later you haven't put any back on, you're probably going to end up with a sunburn.
Now, do you have waterproof sunscreens on your list?
Yes. A lot of the natural sunscreens are greasier, so they're better suited for swimming. There are more, because of the whiteness factor, there are more sunscreens coming out that are better for daily use because they absorb better and they're not as sticky. But there are several on the list that are great for swimming. I can give you I have some props for you.
Kathy, does it say that in the actual cheat sheet? Like, yeah, this one's great for swimming, this one's, fine for...
If I felt it was good for swimming, or if it was more of a stickier sunscreen, I do mention it in my notes section when I can. Some of them, obviously, I haven't tried, but the ones that I have tried, I do believe that I do mention that.
Now, you have quite a bit of sunscreens on this list. You have sunscreens, you have sticks, you have spray. You don't have sprays. Tell us a little bit about why you don't have sprays.
There is actually one mention of a spray on there. In general, the sprays, the sprays that I've encountered, the only one that I am semi-comfortable with is the new one from Goddess Garden Organics. Got it right here.
Is it on your list?
The Goddess Garden, it is on my list. They have a lotion too. I don't have it.
Why did that spray make the list?
Because it's the only spray that I've found that is not a chemical spray. If you see the can, it's very similar to the copper tone and things you see at Target or Walmart or wherever you shop. People really, really love the sprays because of the ease of use. This one is a non-nano titanium and zinc mix. So it comes out a little bit thicker.
And do they all indicate that? Do sprays indicate whether it's non-nano and will people be
no, they don't usually. I've not seen any indication one way or the other. This is just, I know this company has, they advertise that.
It's this one, right? Goddess?
Yeah.
So Kathy, if you were to compare, I don't know if you can compare to apples to oranges, but would that spray, this Goddess one, because people like convenience, it's really easy, your kids running around and jumping, you just spray them like this.
It is.
Would you put them in the same boat with some of your 4-stars? Would you just say, look, if you're going to have to choose a spray, this is the one to do?
If you really, really are determined to have a spray sunscreen, this is probably your best option. I've not found any that are any better. There was a pump spray that they had, which I don't know if they sell that anymore, but they've now switched to this new product. I don't trust the sprays, especially the mainstream ones, because it comes out in this very fine mist, so the inhalation hazard is a lot greater, and you just don't want to be breathing whatever is in that can into your lungs, especially on a regular basis. This one, it does spray out thicker. I did a video review for this. I just haven't figured out how to get it off my iPad yet, which I demonstrate the spray, and it sprays out thicker. You just have to be careful not to spray. You don't want to spray it like directly on your face or in your kids' faces because you don't want them to breathe it in or get it in their mouth and stuff like that. But the ingredients are not terrible, and the mist is not as fine as some of the other sprays that I've encountered. But this is the only one that's natural that I've found. Every other spray in a can like this is a chemical sunscreen. So
how about sticks?
The sticks are great I like them for emergencies. They're not good for like covering all over your body because they're smaller.
Like before faces?
Yeah, but they're good for if you want to, I tend to get burned on my nose where my sunglasses hit.
Right.
So that's good for the spot treat or the tops of your ears. I do it when I go out biking. I do the tops of my ears with it. It's good for spot treating, or if you're at an impromptu play date on the playground, you go, oh my gosh, I forgot sunscreen. You can, smear this on the kids, for a little extra coverage. There's some different sizes. This is the one from Babo, and it fits in your purse. It's little. You can even
so you
use
don't
it
have
as
to your hand might not be the cleanest, so you just take it out and you just like rub it on the skin.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a lip balm almost, like a big fat lip balm.
Mm-hmm.
So I carry that around, and you have it for emergencies if you need to. This one smells really good. This is the True Natural. This is one of the new products that are on the market right now, the True Natural Sunscreens.
Now, how do they all smell, these sunscreens? Do they all smell like very chemically kind of,
They actually smell great. I mean, a lot of them they smell pretty. Like this one smells like oranges.
Well, not just the stick, but
from Babo Botanicals, sunscreens all smell like green apples. Well, I mean, they're not.
No, not just the sticks, but like the tubes and all the other ones you have listed here.
Well, my new favorite thing, which you're going to love, is the new Badger sunscreens. I'm in love with their new formulas. They have the new daily. This is the daily Badger sunscreen. This is the kids' SPF, and it goes on a lot. It's not sticky. Since it's a daily formula, it's much less sticky, and it's not white, and it smells unbelievable. It smells like tangerine vanilla. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's my new favorite.
Cool.
Kathy, when you on the list, there's it's a long list, and sometimes
it gets longer every year.
I know. Sometimes you have 4 stars, you have 3.5 stars, you have no stars. What's that all mean?
Well, initially I thought it would be fun to give it my own rating. So I started to rate some of them, the ones that I really like, or if I really love the ingredients list, I'll give them a star rating. I didn't get to do all of them because some of them I haven't tried out long enough, so I can't really give it an honest rating, I guess. So as the summer goes on and I habitually test a lot of these sunscreens, I will add those as I go. But some of them, if I really loved it, like the Badger gets 4 stars right away because that's one of my favorite products ever. So, it's a work in progress, but that's going to be kind of the new, especially once I get through the whole list, for next year, I'm going to focus on making that one of the highlights.
And, one thing that when we talked before we did the interview, we talked about how not every sunscreen is for everybody, even though you may love it. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I wanted you to talk a little bit about that this is a guide, it's not written in stone.
Sure. I mean, it changes every year, and the formulas change, and just because I love the new Badger Dailies, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to love it. And that's kind of why I have added so many sunscreens to it over the years and kind of have gotten a little more relaxed with some of them do have some questionable ingredients in there, but, it's not for me to tell you what is the perfect sunscreen for you. You're going to have to try a couple different ones and see which one works for swimming, which one works for every day. Maybe you want one for under your makeup. There's a lot of different reasons to wear them and when and how. So, and everyone has different skin types and sensitivities and allergies and things like that. So, this is more just of a general, here's all of the ones that I approve of. Here's all the information that I can give you about it. You can decide which one fits you and your family the best.
Now, some people might ask, why do you do all this? I mean, do you get paid to do this? Are they advertising with you? So I just want to set that record set that record straight right away.
No, none of these sunscreen companies pay me to put them on here. They send me samples so I can try it out, but that's it. I just do it because, I started doing it for myself and for my kids. I wanted to find, the safest sunscreen for my sons. And, as I started to research and look through more products, I just wanted to share the information because I know it's a very time-consuming project for me, but I've already, I kind of laid the groundwork for it, and I just felt it was important for me to share it with everybody else because I know that there's so many people who want to know what's safe for their families, and I just enjoy doing it, and I like helping people find safer products. So.
Now, last question, and then we're going to move on to one other section. Karen, remember you asked a question about it. Do you need sunscreen when it's cloudy?
That's right. Well, I was going to ask that question. Thank you. 2 things. One, do you need sunscreen when it's cloudy? I think I know the answer, but I just want to I want it to come from you because my kids ask that all the time. It's cloudy. Do I need it? Number 2, do I need to take a shower? Because I just, we went outside. It's only been 20 minutes. I come inside. Do I need to take a shower?
take a shower to wash the sunscreen off?
Right.
Well, I mean, if it's cloudy, I mean, you're still getting some sun exposure. The UVA and UVB rays can still penetrate through the clouds. And like I was saying earlier, if you've ever been to a pool party and you swam for 4 hours and it was cloudy out, you'd still get a sunburn sometimes. I mean, I know that's happened to me when I was younger. So, I mean, if you're going to be outside for on extended, periods of time and it's overcast or something, I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry, I always say. So a little bit of sunscreen is not going to hurt. As far as washing it off, I mean, a lot of these are a lot of natural ingredients. I mean, you don't have to shower it off. I mean, if you were spraying copper tone chemical sunscreen all over you, I would say yes, you'd probably want to shower it off and get it off of you. But with the natural, that's the beauty of using natural products, is that the risk of leaving it on your skin is not as great. Of course, the only thing I would say is that if you have any kind of skin sensitivities, or you're noticing that the zinc is giving you a rash, or the titanium is not agreeing with you, you want to minimize your exposure to it. But I don't think you need to run inside and shower it off unless you really feel like you need to. It's
one I'm correct, one I'm sort of not correct, so I guess I can tell my kids, all right, I guess you can skip washing it up today.
Yeah. No,
but it's good to know that these natural ingredients are safe enough for you to kind of skip one day of not washing it off completely, because I always felt like, oh God, I got this thick paste on me, I'm gonna get it off.
I mean, some of the thicker ones can be, I mean, they are actually kind of tricky to get off. I remember the old formulas of Badger sunscreen, it was like toothpaste, it was just really sticky. They luckily have changed some of that, so it's a lot of the new sunscreens are really, really nice, and you really don't feel as sticky and gross as you used to. There's a lot of really great products in the market now that are safe.
Okay, we're going to do a quick lightning round now. It's like I name something and you give me a name back. So you ready? Favorite sunscreen?
Badger.
Okay, favorite sunscreen for swimming?
Raw Elements.
Favorite sunscreen when it's cloudy?
Think Baby.
Favorite sunscreen for people who are very allergic?
Dolphin Organics.
Karen, did I miss one?
I got kids. Kids.
Yeah, kids. For kids.
Definitely the Badger, or even the True Natural is a new one that I like for the kids.
Any other questions, Karen? I'm like, my lightning round kind of starts like.
How about under makeup? I mean, you talked about makeup.
Oh, good.
How about under makeup? Because you don't really need the same type for something that you would use, let's say, on your legs.
True. I feel like a broken record, but the new daily Badgers. I've been using that on my face under makeup for the last month and a half. The new formulas are much thinner. They are not greasy, and they don't leave any whiteness at all. So you rub it in and you can't even tell. So I put that on under my makeup now, and I don't have any. They have a very sensitive, and you can even use the baby sunscreen. There's a baby one, and it's very sensitive, and I've had good luck with it. I haven't found any breakouts or anything, so that one's been good.
Great.
And Kathy, last thing, we're going to give you the platform here, a little bit about a shameless plug about Safe Mama. What do you do?
I mean, I love providing people with an easy way to find safer products. You come to the site and just go right to the cheat sheet section. I have a ton of lists. I do some annual ones. I've got the sunscreen cheat sheet. The insect repellent one is coming next. I have some new ones on the burners. I do the lunch gear and backpacks in the fall. I do a toy guide every year for a gift guide for the holidays. So a lot of the cheat sheets are really kind of my specialty, and I love to just help people find safe products for their home, for cooking, and for just your general family life. So I just love to do it. I love to help people, and I get tons of questions and tons of email, and I try to get to everybody, and it's just very rewarding for me. I get a lot of really warm, fuzzy emails from people, and it makes it worth it.
So I'm just going to put myself back up on the screen. That's the conclusion of today. We will put on the show notes wow, I'm looking really tan here, and I'm not. we'll put up on the show notes the cheat sheet so you can link right to it. We'll also put up Kathy's site so you can link to that as well. It's got great information. I urge you all to take a look at it. Next week's show is Amy Valpone, and she is a chef, and she's going to come up with some great recipes for us for moms on the go for, with summertime. And I'm really excited about Amy coming onto the show. Kathy, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about sunscreen. And Karen, you have anything you want to add at the end?
I think I learned a lot. I mean, I already knew a few things, but I always thought that white pasty look was the way to go when you use sunscreens.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, but I'm glad now I can really convince my kids to use sunscreen. Every time we go out, thank you so much, and I'm gonna refer to your cheat sheet. When I go shopping next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we're going to sign off and say goodbye and hope you have a great week. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock East Coast time, Google permitting. And everybody have a good week.